It's like that phrase when we are all standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
you become one of such giants, and everyone else becomes a giant. And on your shoulders, you get higher and higher to your ultimate goal of ruling over the world.
Mm, 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 mm. No, that's so true. Do you want to get started? Do you want to present yourself?
Okay, so I'm known under my how do you call it? Pseudonym, my alias, my nickname.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Krom Stern. I'm actually not from Germany. I'm living in Russia. I hope everyone's okay with that for now. I've been a self-taught programmer since 1995. My language of choice is Delphi, and my 3D modeling software of choice is Lightwave, because Lightwave was used to create Babylon 5, which is like the best science fiction series.
I'll present myself real quick. So I'm Tatsu. I'm the co-founder of Sanctuary RTS. And yeah, I'm here today interviewing Crom about his games, Knives in Province, and anything else we want to talk about.
Making people to watch other people to talk about a topic they are interested in, like our fellow game developers or other guys and girls who want to get into game development, they could watch it, and it becomes a situation where 1+1 is greater than 2.
So that's the idea, is that we're helping each other out, cross-pollinating, and a rational person looking at the RTS landscape will see that it's not densely populated. It's not doing super well. It's not got a whole
Yeah.
lot of entries in it. I'm the kind of person who looks at that and is like, well, if you want people to feel like there's a gold rush, to be interested in a genre and to want to rush into it and find a whole bunch of titles to consume and everything, there's got to be a supply first, and you got to be like showing everybody out there that actually there's a lot of options. There's this, there's that, and there's a lot of things going on. And the more activity there is, then you start to have interest. And
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
maybe way down the line where like really where you've got thousands of developers and we're all stepping on each other's toes, then you can maybe start worrying about your precious park and everything like that. But I think even then it wouldn't make sense to me. I think the better approach is to not act jealous and selfish and all that stuff. It's to
Yeah.
help each other out, provide a shoulder for other people to lean on and everything like that, and then you'll both progress. You'll both get a boost out of that.
Yeah,
And at
absolutely.
least that's the way that the RTS landscape is right now. And I think that it really needs a lot more developers, a lot more people, a lot more games for it to be more interesting to the gamers. So yeah, that's
I actually have a story in my practice that very much proves this concept you were describing now. So there is a game called Knights and Merchants. It was made in 1998, and it had very little modding community around it. So for people to make tools, to make new maps, to edit existing maps and such. And at first, like several years, maybe 10 years, this community was very closed. It was guarding its secrets. So if someone made some revelation about how maps are encoded into binary files, they would keep that secret to themselves
hmm.
and make their map editing tool, which was like a bit odd, a bit cumbersome, a bit unusual, but it was like their own creation, and they would uh, think of it as a precious, like a precious golden ring.
Yeah.
And then when I joined that community, uh, I wanted to keep everything public
Mm.
knowledge.
Mm.
Like if there is some discovery, let's announce it, let's make it available to everyone.
Mm.
So this byte represents this information in terrain. This chunk means this, and so on and so forth. And surprisingly, as soon as we started to share the knowledge within that community, we started to see more new people
Mm.
getting involved and some older people revealing their secrets.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that was like whole renaissance of things happening.
Yeah. The cost to
And
benefit ratio is where it's at, right? You always consider that, oh, there's a potential loss for you. And that's not false at all. There is a little loss, but the potential gain is much bigger. And that's what you got to look at. You know, there's always like a bigger fish. There's always, in terms of statistics, a broader view that you can take. And suddenly, a little nugget of truth you may have had about, you know, I may lose this or that, becomes obsolete in face of the giant benefits that you can gain.
I'd also add that there is nothing to lose in sharing.
Mm-mm.
So it's not like you get dissected from the thing you have discovered. It's not like you get dissected from your discovery. It remains attributed to you. But now everyone can use it, and it's like that phrase when we are all standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
absolutely.
become one of such giants, and everyone else becomes a giant. And on your shoulders, you get higher and higher to your ultimate goal of ruling over the world.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. No, that's so true. Well, tell me a bit about your journey. What led you into indie game development, and more specifically, RTS indie game development?
I think it all started way back in the 90s when first I was interested in 3D modeling, into creating like shapes out of nothing. It's like magic. So you move this, you move that, and bam, you got a picture, and it's a 3D picture, and it looks like a photography or something. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's I don't know, a box, a fancy box. Maybe it's a glass with specular reflections, ambient occlusion, and such and so forth. And then I was uh, interested in 3D programming to be able to mod racing games. So it was the age of Need for Speed, like Need for Speed 3, 4, Porsche Unleashed, and upcoming games. And in that age, it was very interesting and quite easy to get the game to accept new models of new cars into itself. So you had to write some software to decode the file format of the, like for example, some car from Need for Speed 3. Then you could alter this 3D model in 3D editing software, and then you could import it back. And suddenly it was not Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed, it was Need for Speed with different cars. Small spoiler, Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed modding was actually not possible at that day. So these were different games like GTA 3 and others.
Yeah, so
And
basically you spearheaded the modding community for that game.
I spearheaded the modding community for the world racing games.
Right.
By Cinetic, that was a German company. They made, I guess, 7 or 8 games, racing games. And I was creating modding tools for these games that allowed to edit cars' performance, cars' models, change textures, change racing circuits, and
Mm.
like everything that was there. And I
That's
got my
something.
nickname from that scene, and my
Uh,
like alter ego that I'm German.
right. That's something that I get a lot though. That modding is a gateway to game development as a whole, or even just developments, right?
Yeah, it's like very fertile breeding grounds. So you get your toe in, like you can try the water with your toe, with your feet, and suddenly you fall down into the water completely, and now you're like in game development.
All right. So yeah, and so when did you decide that you wanted to be a game developer?
I think that was a moment when I realized I wanted not only to mod games, but I also wanted to create games. I wanted to know how they work, what goes into it. And by that time, I also had made several other editing tools for different games, and one of them was Knights and Merchants. And the editing tool was a map editor. So you could open a map and edit the location of mountains, rivers, houses, and such. And at that moment, I could open the original game on my computer and open my editing map editor on other computer. And I could see that original game was always full screen, and it was hard-coded to just 2 or 3 resolutions, like 800 by 600. And my editor was a windowed application. It could be resized. The window could be of any size, and it could be easily resizable. And it was more responsive, and I also could zoom in and zoom out. And at that moment, I thought, interesting. And looking at these 2 displays, like this and this, I could see that they look the same. So mountains here, mountains there, buildings here, buildings there. How hard could it be to make an RTS game out of my map editing tool?
Mm-hmm.
And within several weeks, maybe a couple of months, I asked my friend who had much more experience in general programming, and he taught me and wrote me a core for the game engine from scratch, basing on my map editor. So it was like looking all the same, but not functional yet. And that led me into developing a game. At first, it was Knights and Merchants remake, and it was like working for the perfect specification. So here is perfectly working game with some glitches and not so modern UI by today's standards. And here I could write a game with fellow programmers and friends, which would closely repeat the original, but largely expand on it. And it was awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. So how much time have you been working on it now?
Remake was started in 2008, and I worked on it till 2013.
All right.
And then in 2013, I thought about things that we have already made, and our creation was superior to the original, but we were limited by it.
Yeah.
So we could not add submarines, we could not add radically new mechanics or something like that. So this was a remake, and we had to remake it. We remade it. Okay, now what's next?
Yeah.
And I decided to branch off. So I took the engine and decided to create my own game. This time, completely guided by my own vision of it. And of course, that was very difficult. It's very hard to come by some idea that is new and unique and is so rich in detail that it could be made into an RTS game, because the amount of detail in the RTS is insane.
It's staggering.
Yeah, so it was resembling Knights and Merchants a lot, and it still does, but with every year I am getting more and more experience, and I'm feeling secure and confident in changing more and more things in it. And looking at it now, I can see, yeah, it's inspired by Knights and Merchants, but it's a game of itself.
All right.
And that's how it goes.
And so Knights in Province, as it's called now, was started in 2013, or a little bit after that.
It was started in 2013, but its engine is
Yeah, is
taken from remake, so it was started in 2008. But That graphics engine was taken from Map Editor, which was started in 2005,
Yeah.
and it's hard to count.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but
these are
like,
like those giants on which the game stands. One
yeah,
shoulder on the other shoulder on the other shoulder.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But so yeah, now you've got a lot more going on. So tell us about like what the game is like today, right? How what's what state it's in today, and what kind of progress you made.
Well, it's progressing, but I'm a solo developer. I hire some freelancers, and most of the time I'm working myself and trying to implement new features and new mechanics and new gimmicks and technologies I come by. And it takes a lot of time to develop an RTS by one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But luckily, I treat it as a hobby, so I like to walk, I enjoy riding a bicycle, and I enjoy coding my small RTS game with a huge scope, improving on graphics, ordering new models and art from freelancers, communicating with composers, with the community, with the testers, with like everything. So it's a
Hmm.
hobby. It's slow and steady, slow
Hmm.
and steady.
All right. So you are the sun, I guess, against around which everything rotates. You're the center of the entire project, and you manage everything from the community to making the game to designing it to coding the small behaviors. You've got everything that you've got to handle. So yeah, so it's a lot of things to do, and I imagine that you are looking to increase your community so that you can get more helpers, perhaps more freelancers interested in your project. You do want more people to be coming to your Discord.
Yeah, of course. It's like it would be quite odd if I didn't want it to be. But I'm not thinking of myself as like the center of this small universe.
Hmm.
I'm thinking more like a gardener. So I try to make things that need to be made. I need to prepare the ground. I need to add fertilizers. I need to erect some fences, maybe some guidelines, maybe some roadways. And then I'm hoping for the other people to join to like grow and bloom and appear in this big garden.
Hmm.
And I think of myself as like helper to other people that can make this garden beautiful.
Hmm.
Because one of the main focuses of my development is to have a built-in map editor, to have scripting capabilities, to allow players to create new maps very easily.
Hmm.
And with further modding support, I hope it will also attract new people who will use this as a basement for their creations.
Yeah. You
And
want to.
I must say that some of the creations I saw are already like superb. They are amazing. So I have made some tools and I have placed them on the ground. Some people took these tools and they made such things with these tools I didn't imagine are possible, like certain combinations, certain techniques, and now I'm seeing a beautiful terrain with beautiful like story and interesting gameplay. And I think to myself, I couldn't have made it myself. It's not my role. It's their
Yeah.
creation, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
It's
very
true.
nice feeling.
Yeah.
Very great.
Yeah. Yeah. I can sympathize. It's yeah, it's what you want to do. It's what you want to have a nice sandbox that allows player creativity to fly free. and then yeah, both through just the gameplay contents that people create, or the modding community, you'll
Yeah.
see things in your game that you didn't ever imagine, and that that are the light, the spark of the whole thing, the whole endeavor, and the community. So yeah, this is I would say your greatest motivator, perhaps.
I guess so. Yeah, I think I can say that.
Hmm.
I also want to add that, in my opinion, RTS game without a sandbox is almost worthless.
Hmm.
It's like a one-time thing.
Hmm.
Okay, so you've played these maps, stop. But if it has a sandbox, the sandbox becomes the game.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It allows for so much all the experimentation
Yeah,
that players want to do, all the curiosity that they have gets poured into that, and that's like any type of player, even the guy who's super competitive, he's even gonna want to be curious enough to try it out once, right? So yeah, it
yeah.
serves a much greater purpose. I think we're gonna call it there and say, well, thank you, and to everyone, check out Knight's Province.
There is only a page on Steam. It's not
Yeah,
available yet.
yeah.
But there is a really available beta version on the Discord, and it's getting its updates quite regularly with
All right.
some smaller and bigger changes. So if you try it out, please leave your feedback in the channels. It's very much appreciated.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
thank you very much to you for conducting this interview and for coming up with this idea of interviews in general. It's a great start for like, a better future.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.